Alright, welcome back to the channel. I want to show you guys a few things in the audio transcription tool. This is a studio only. If you were on the fence about getting DaVinci Resolve, you can now save 20%, so it's down to $235. You can get the micro color panel for $395, the bigger panel for $665, and the Fairlight console for $2,445. So if you were going to buy it, I'm actually going to make a video on the free versus studio version to show you guys some of the great tools that come with the investment of getting the studio version. But right now it's on sale. So if you're thinking about getting it, I've never seen it on sale except when they had like the speed editor package deal. So it's actually a good time to get it right now if you want to sweep it up for only $235. So I went in and was just messing around to see how the voice isolation would do. And then I also wanted to see how transcription would do. So I went under the clip attributes here. And as you can see, we have channel 3 and channel 4. I actually removed the original audio track and just hit delete. You can always add that back by hitting add. And you could see embedded channel 1 and 2 is now the second pair. But for now, we'll leave that alone. Now, if you have the full length, this is like an hour-and-a-half movie. If I go here and I hit the transcribe button, you can see this pops up and then it'll end up being like 40 minutes or something to start transcribing. See what it says here. Yeah, like 43. So even though I had an in and an out marked, and you could see by the little red line up here in the media, that's showing that that chunk is used down in the timeline. So what I did was cut that down and made it in and an out, and then right-clicked it and made a new compound clip. So that's what this little cut down piece of media is. So now it's this shorter piece. So I went ahead, selected that from my media pool, and over here we have transcribe. If you right-click, you can turn on and off speaker detection, and then I went ahead and transcribed it. So once you've transcribed any piece of media, if it has the transcription available, it'll know to pop up your dialog box here rather than retranscribe. And then if you know who the speakers are, it'll detect and it just says speaker 1, speaker 2, speaker 3. So if you know who they are, you can double click on it and name that speaker. And anytime that person's talking, it'll go ahead and rename the other times that they're speaking within the transcription. Here's a couple cool things. You can edit from here by grabbing this, and then you have a few options down here in the bottom if you wanted to add that to your timeline. But one thing I was curious to do was see how it would convert into a subtitle or a text file. So up at the top here, we have a few different options. Some are in the 3-dot menu and some are in this little typical export icon. So if we hit export, this actually turns it into a text file. Now, I already saved that, so let me navigate over to that and show you guys what that looks like. So the first one's a text file. It literally just puts out text. So there's no speaker, there's no time code, there's nothing like that. So that might be good if you're going to make notes or you just want a basic transcription. But now the other thing that it can do is from this 3-dot menu, you can see we have a couple options for speaker detection or display speakers. So if you shut that off, that's more or less what you would be getting with that kind of an export. But then if you click the 3-dot menu, you have export subtitles. So when I did that, you get the subtitle dialog box that you would normally get. And you can change those options here. There's a few different presets. And you hit export. Now when it did that, it didn't actually make a subtitle file. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and say export subtitles, hit export. As you can see, it's an SRTX file. That actually won't drag and drop back in. It'll open as a text file, but it won't come back into Resolve. As I said, the only way you can use it is by changing the extension. So if we turn Finder back on, you can see I have SRT. All I did was rename it from SRTX to just got rid of the X. It asked me if I wanted to keep that extension. I said yes. And then I was able to drag and drop it right back into Resolve, and Resolve recognized it at that point. So now I can bring in that SRT file. If I remove the X from the extension, it now comes in, and you can see it's an SRT. I have a subtitle file added, and now if I drop this down, there it is. That comes down, and if we listen to the dialogue and the subtitles, this now has the speaker name and the subtitles within the same file.
He really wants to change the title. And Stephen, in this one...
Now, it'd be cool if the speaker had like a colon or something to let you know, or maybe you could format it. All right, there's a way to actually change that, but you have to edit your SRT file. So I'm going to change this to a TXT extension and say use TXT, and that's going to open up in TextEdit on Mac. You can do find and replace. So if we hit Command F, if we say find host, highlights it in yellow, and then we can hit this replace tab and say host : and we say replace all. And then if we do Bob Gale and say replace with Bob Gale : replace all, you can see now that has the colon and host also does. And now we'll do the third speaker, put a colon in there, replace all, hit done. And then very important, we're going to have to save it. Ask me how I know. So now it's saved. We're going to close out of there, rename the file back to an SRT, drag and drop that back into the Resolve project. Then we're going to drag that down to the timeline here. And now we should have each speaker gets the colon, which kind of differentiates, lets you know that the speakers are actually talking or who's talking at what time. So you can see the host goes to ask a question here.
Back to the time machine itself, what can...
Pretty neat that you can get the speaker or speakers and the entire text exported as a subtitle file from a commentary track. So kind of a cool way you can use audio transcription to make corresponding subtitles from that, but also get the speaker name along with it, which it won't do with the text transcription or subtitle export. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.